Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 22nd December 2016. The first article, A Chance for Peace in Syria. In this, let us understand who are the warring factions in Syria, what are the global and regional politics happening around Syria and its stability. In the Syrian war, there are two major factions. One is the government led forces by Assad, and the second is rebels. Assad is supported by Russia, Iran, rebels are supported by Saudi Arabia, United States of America, and then Jordan, Qatar. So, Iran versus Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Qatar, it's a regional rivalry. And Russia versus USA comes under the global geopolitics. What is the stand of Russia? It wanted to have the state structure intact. Why? If the state is destabilized, Syria will lead into a civil war as like in Afghanistan. On the other hand, this faction it majorly talks about Syria free of Assad. It means that any of the discussion or negotiation has to be on Syria, how it has to be after Assad. It means they don't want the Assad to be the president. So in this, we need to see it from Syria as that is Shia and Sunni conflict in the region. Now, Mr. Assad is a Shia and the country is a Sunni dominated region. And Aleppo city is majorly a Sunni dominated place. And then the army, when it has occupied the Aleppo, it has been stated that there are huge human rights violations. In this context, we have to see the ongoing Moscow conference. In this, the parties are Iran, Russia, and Turkey. The Iran and Russia, yes, they are pro Assad and they maintain their stand and support to the Syrian army. Now, the only problem is with Turkey. So, the Turkey also has provided the support to the rebels and also provided a safe passage to the Islamic State forces. Now, why the Turkey is coming to the negotiation table? Understand this statement. The Syrian war is a regional problem and needs a regional solution. And second is, the Turkey, though supporting the rebels, it is also facing severe security situation. The recent army coup, followed by attacks, and then the recent killing of the ambassador of Russia to Turkey, all these indicate that the security situation in Turkey is worsening. Unless the regional stability is brought in, it is not bound to improve. And here we have to understand the Russia Turkey relations. Now, when Russia came in support of Mr. Assad, the Turkey has shot down the Russian plane, stating that it has entered in its land. And second is, after that, there is a reconciliation happened between Mr. Putin and Erdogan. And then recent killing of Russian ambassador has happened in Turkey. In spite of this, these three countries have come together to find a regional solution to Syria. Now, previously, the negotiation was more between USA and Russia, and a ceasefire agreement was also signed. So, within a week, it was broken down. But if we see Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Qatar, these are very close to United States of America. Unless all of them come in support of each other, this Syrian problem cannot find a long-term solution. Now let's come to a year of living dangerously. Let's talk about this. What is the situation after surgical strikes across the border and line of control? So across the line of control, the ceasefire violations have increased dramatically after the surgical strikes. Though Pakistan did not admit the surgical strikes have happened across the LOC, it has raised a low intensity attack on India. It has taken three forms majorly. One is violation of the ceasefire, and second is non state actors attacking the army camps and also army convoys. And third thing is about internationalizing the Kashmiri issue and recent uprisings in Kashmir. Now, why this situation has got worsened? If we can observe, The political triumphalism has existed in India immediately after the surgical strikes. Though cautious approach is taken up in the surgical strike that the DGMOs is been informed duly after the surgical strike, and also it has focused on terrorist camps rather than against the army. The post-surgical strike political triumphalism has clearly led to a misunderstanding between army or misunderstanding between both the countries. And second thing is, the problem is becoming more a military thing rather than a political solution, rather than searching for a political solution. So, the politics are giving away this responsibility to the military to handle the situation, which is not in the best interest of the democracy. So, the two takeaway points are this: the military victories cannot be taken for granted, and the political triumphalism over the military victories will do a long term damage to any country, and India is a critical example for this. And second is, thus after the surgical strikes, India is not able to take any other step forward, either towards diplomacy or towards a military force. The reason being, we are into a kind of a commitment trap now. So, this is what the article talks about. Ending the Manipur blockade. Now, here we need to see the Manipur as a region. It has consists of valley part and hill part. Hill region is majorly dominated by Kukis, Nagas. The valley region consists of Meiteis. Now, in this hill region, 7 new districts are created, and Kukis or Kuki majority regions are converted into new districts. The reasons stated are administrative convenience and providing for better access to the district headquarters. But however, the Nagas, they say that it is a plan to divide the Naga majority regions. Now, you have to understand this problem from the perspective of the greater Nagaland. So, Nagas wants to have greater Nagaland connecting the Nagaland plus the Naga inhabited regions of the Manipur, which is opposed by the Manipur people. So, in this context, United Naga Council has asked for, or else is forcibly implementing an economic blockade which is causing severe hardship to the Manipur people. In this context, the Chief Minister Ibobi Singh has asked for the centre's help, and as per the Article 355 of the Constitution, the centre is bound to provide the help over here. Though the centre has provided for CRPF, there is no rightful intervention happened. So that is one thing which we need to speak about. And the second thing is, such kind of blockades between the states will ultimately lead to hatred, and the solution in the future becomes very much difficult. So the center has to intervene and solve the problem as quick as possible. Now coming to again the Syrian war. Now here let's talk about the Russia stand. The state structure in Syria has to be protected to maintain the stability of Syria in the post-war situation. It means in a state structure devoid of Assad is not possible immediately. Now, in this context, let us see who are the rebels in the case of Syria. One is Jabhat al-Nusra, and then Ansar al-Sharia, Arar al-Sham. All these three are breakaway factions from Al-Qaeda, and they have close connections with ISIS. In this context, these are ideologically charged. They want to establish a theocratic state in Syria. It means that once the existing state structure is destroyed, the alternative appears to be much worrisome, as there is no viable alternative. And as like Afghanistan, the Syria also can be pushed into a civil war. It will be destabilizing to the entire nation and the region. So that's what the author expresses. The makeover of the RSS. You can see RSS is growing more as a cultural organization, and also it has its roots in political affiliations. So in this context, ideologically RSS is becoming too diverse. Now if you talk about various trade union factions of RSS and the policies of the government, Swadeshi Jagran Manch, which is talking about buying Indian goods or producing in India. So these are going against to the policies of liberalization of the government and relaxation of the FDI norms. And the second is use of the social media and then providing for divergence in ideas, acceptance of Ambedkar and the mainstreaming of the Dalits. These are the various changes which are coming up in the RSS organizational structure. And then missing children. As for the National Crime Control Bureau, in India, around 2.5 lakh children are missing every year. And there is no trace of them. And most of them are used for human trafficking, especially with regard to the child labor in the urban areas. And second, for the sexual exploitation. So, Human Trafficking Prevention, Protection and Prohibition Act, a bill which is supposed to be passed in this session, has to be as quick as possible. It need to be passed. And coming to the business, now India's growth indicator given by the Japan's Nomura, it has clearly stated that India is going to have a slowdown of its growth due to demonetization, and it has predicted that the rural growth will be worst affected as rural economy is mostly cash dependent economy. Among the services sector and manufacturing sector, services sector will be worst affected as services sector is majorly dependent on or is majorly an unorganized sector. And third thing is among the exports and imports, exports are bound to be worst affected. Now coming to the world, if you talk about the Nepal and the China relations, now we all know that Nepal is between two boulders, that is India and China, and Nepal and India have treaty of peace and friendship. But today, the Nepal-China relations are also growing. Now, military exercises have started between these two countries. So, Pratikar 1, it is all about these military exercises. So, the major theme of this is to fight the terrorism. So, in this context, the Tibet is the region between these two countries. Is China looking for a military action in Tibet? Is one question, because as the military action goes in Tibet, the porous border between the Tibet and Nepal will lead to some emergency situation in Nepal. So, is that a preparedness to this? Is the major question which has been asked for. Now, within Turkey and Germany, the situation is getting worsened. If you see the terror attacks and then army coup and the recent killing of Russian ambassador, all this make the Turkey vulnerable. This shows the vulnerabilities of Turkey. Till now, the Germany was kept aside from the terror attacks. For the first time on Monday, Germany has also faced the terror attack, and ISIS has claimed for this terror attack. In the light of growing a right wing in the Europe, and German's open policies or German Chancellor Merkel's open policy towards immigration, all these are bound to be affected because of this terror attack which has happened. So these are the articles for today. Now, I have discussed the questions. How you need to use these questions. Just before reading the notes, after listening the video, try to think about these so that you can find some answers to them. And then read the notes to understand these questions better. So, I want to help you to make opinions over here that helps you in the examination. Thank you very much and all the best.